with me, Esen. I used to be a people pleaser. And this is the big paradox of the power woman mentality, the power woman mask, that I realized it was completely contradicting. And yet, by looking deeper, why this is happening, it actually helped me release the need of people pleasing. And let me tell you how, from my perception, this paradox is created. Because in my understanding and exploration, a power woman is not born. She is created by her life circumstances. Because in life, as a power woman, I have encountered endless situations that made me become this version of me that had to be strong, that had to protect myself. This version of me that I had to be not only strong for myself, but also strong for my environment, because I experienced that in my environment, no one can protect me. So I needed to learn how to protect myself. And that is how this power woman mask has been created, not out of love and security and really be seen for the authentic version that I am, for the joy that I used to be, for the ease that I used to be as a child. But instead, I have been judged, I have been neglected love. Even my safetyness has been jeopardized on a mental and a physical level. So that is where I had to create my own shield around myself so I can protect myself. But also in the same time, I was deep within myself still longing to be seen, to be accepted, to be loved, to be protected. I developed an attitude that I have to people please others so I can be accepted. So I won't put myself in further circumstances that are threatening my safetyness, that are threatening my physical and mental well-being. And on the surface, a power woman, she looks so strong, so powerful. It looks like that she had it all together. You know, I was the one solving problems for others. I was the one holding the space for others. I was the one navigating between others. But also I had the tendency to avoid conflicts. I wanted to create harmony. I wanted to make people feel good around me, to the level that I brought myself in circumstances where my body was even sending me signals that I need to take care of myself. Even on a physical level, there was a situation a few years ago where my throat was so much burning. The more I spoke, the more I used my voice, the more my throat was really burning, right? But my work was based on constantly talking and communicating with people. So that means I was forcing myself to neglect these symptoms so I can still be seen as the strong woman, so I can still be seen as the one that can provide the solution, that can, go higher, faster, further, to a level where I remember one day I came back home and my throat was so much burning that I was almost crying out of pain. And a friend of mine that I was supporting by this time to put his CV together and to help him find a job in the company that I was working approached me at this day, and he got some feedback on his CV, and he wanted to sit again with me and to have a conversation and to adjust it, because the next day he had to send the adjusted CV. And he called me and I told him, listen, my throat is burning. I feel so depleted. I don't have an energy. I cannot do it. But he kept on begging me to still sit with him because that was important for him and for his career. So in this moment, instead of listening to my body and instead of putting clear boundaries and instead of saying no, to protect myself, not against the others, because back there I saw putting boundaries as it was a sign against others and not to protect myself. I accepted. So I was sitting there with this burning throat and was having a long conversation with him to help him and neglecting myself. And that means that I hurt myself because I didn't want to lose this power woman image, this image that I can have endless energy, that I can always support others, because I became the 24/7 go-to person in my environment when they had the problems. So they came to me and put their problems over my head, and I was the one to find the solutions. And sometimes taking also energetically on their problems, so they felt relief when they came to me, but I took the burden from their own experiences. And interestingly enough, fast forwards a few years later, when I came in a situation where I started putting boundaries, where I started prioritizing myself and my own well-being, and communicating this with grace, not with hardness, right, towards these so-called friends, I saw how they suddenly started pulling away from me. And that is where it hurt a lot. That is where actually the biggest fear, when you're people pleasing your environment, is actually starting to be manifested. That suddenly the people that you have supported so much, you have invested endless energy and times and your expertise of helping them, when you suddenly decide to put boundaries, they let you down. They start disappearing out of your life. They are not there for you the way you were there for them. Actually, they are not there for you even in a small percentage of that, what you have given them. And now looking back to those situations, I don't have any negative emotion towards these experiences, because I realized that they were there to show me that people pleasing was never the right path to create really genuine relationship, really genuine connection. But it was an unhealthy relationship between me as a people pleaser and the other person who just took what I have allowed him or her to take. And there is a saying in the Bulgarian language where I come from, and I'm going to try to translate it. So in the Bulgarian language, there is a meal, a food that is like börek. Maybe you have heard this Turkish food, like it's made out of dough, and inside there is like cheese or something else. It's a food made out of dough, and it's called banica. Okay, and in the Bulgarian language, we say whose fault it is. It is the fault to the one giving the banica to the one who is eating it, or it is the fault of the one who is eating the banica at the end. So what this saying is telling us, whose fault is that me as a people pleaser back there was used by my environment to be constantly there and supporting them? Was it my fault that I was always available for them because I was afraid to lose those relationships? Or was it their fault that they were taking my availability for granted? And when I realized that it was my own responsibility because I never communicated my boundaries strong enough, because I was constantly overgiving, right? So they learned that Annie is always available. They learned that I was always there available no matter how I felt. So that's why that was the relationship that has been created, that is very unhealthy and unbalanced relationship when you look it from the outside, observe it from the outside. But it was one that I allowed to happen. And the moment where I started shifting and putting my boundaries, they couldn't connect anymore with me, because the version of me that they accepted in their life was a version who was always 24/7 available for them, who was always delivering solution for their problems, was always so strong and looked in the outside that I had my life together, right? So that's why they kept on demanding that I am 24/7, 100% available for them. I allowed this unhealthy relationship to happen. I allowed to be quote unquote used for their own purposes, because that was the identity and the version of me they met, they get to know. And the moment when I started putting boundaries to protect myself, to really harness my own energy, to really shift those relationships, on the other side, they wasn't ready for this version of me. They wasn't ready for this identity. So that's why they pulled their energy away. But it's not a bad sign. It's actually the most beautiful thing you can do for yourself as a power woman, is the moment you put the boundaries, the one who drops away from your environment actually creates an amazing space for others, more healthy and more aligned relationship to come. But first, you have to reclaim your inner sovereignty and let go of this always available, constant for everybody else power woman mentality that is constantly only giving, but not actually allowing to receive. because the power woman mask kept me away from the possibility to receive and also request support, because I had the feeling that I'm the strongest there, so I need to constantly give, 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 give. And was afraid to receive because in my subconscious mind, I believe receiving is a weakness. Because the way how you created this power woman mentality as a child was that your environment wasn't safe enough, wasn't providing you the love, the support, the space for you to be most authentic version of you. So you learn that you cannot trust the outside world to give you something, so you cannot receive anything. So you became the giver. You actually became the overgiver. You became this strong pillar, right? And I have seen this identity as an extremely powerful place to be. I was proud to be this power woman who didn't need anyone to give her anything, to support her, because I could support myself. But life is always based on a balance of giving and receiving. And when we go in this overgiving, when we step into this like constantly being strong and not allow ourselves to be vulnerable, because that was something I also needed to learn, is that vulnerability is not equal weakness. Because I was perceiving that vulnerability is equal weakness, is equal victim mentality. So I didn't allow my nervous system to actually feel the vulnerability and to allow also to be held the way how I'm holding others, to be supported the way how I was supporting others. So this is the paradox of the power woman mentality. On the one side, extremely strong, powerful, solution-driven, higher, faster, further mentality, right? But on the other side, in the inside, longing for deep relationship and believing that the only way to keep this relationship in her life is by constantly overgiving and constantly be the supporting pillar for her whole environment. And the moment you see that this power woman mask has served you, yeah, in a certain time in your life, but it's not a healthy relationship for you. It's not a healthy place to create also relationship with the outside world. And when you allow it to start shedding these layers of armor, of shield you have created around yourself to protect yourself from the environment, and to allow also to be seen in your gentle, feminine, vulnerable nature, that is actually such a powerful place where you are starting to stepping into the actual power and strength that you are, my dear one, the sovereign self, the sovereign woman, the one that can hold power and in the same moment be absolutely gracious, be absolutely gentle, be absolutely loving and caring. First, loving and caring towards yourself, towards the inner child that has been hurt, that didn't feel supported and protected, that haven't received the love and the safe space to keep on shining, right? And when you create this safe environment for yourself through the healthy boundaries, through the boundaries that gives you the protection you wanted to have as a child, but in the same moment crack open your heart and not holding grudge, and not holding fear, and not holding, especially fear of disappointment, of being left alone, because you know that you'll never be alone, because now you're adult, so now you are able to protect your inner child. You don't need anybody from outside to protect you. That is where you step into this identity of sovereignty, and you stop constantly being a people pleaser, because you now value the person you are. You value your time, you value your energy to a level where you are able to say a clear no to circumstance, to person, to opportunity, to environment. The moment you see that is not healthy for you, it's not serving you, it's not based on a beautiful balance between giving and receiving. When I'm telling you these words, I'm feeling a lot of peace in my system, because that is what is happening. The moment I decided to stop people pleasing, I had more peace and more joy and more energy for myself. But I also opened my space for more healthy, balanced relationships to enter my life. So I invite you today to see whether you are still holding on the power woman mask, in which area you still are trying to protect yourself the way you needed to protect yourself as a child, and where you are still keep on pleasing people in your environment that you know that this relationship is not based on balanced giving and receiving, but it's just a one-side relationship. Because I think the moment where I started realizing this was like around my 30th birthday, the first moment, as a friend of mine back there, she was the sister of my best friend to the time, told me something that I haven't seen till there. She told me that she said to her sister, she was like listening our conversation, and she said to her sister, you know what? Every time you have a conversation with Annie, you're always asking her to support you. You're always demanding for her to be there, but you are never really honestly interested in what is her current situation. How can you help her? So you're always demanding her to support you and help you in your situations, but you are never listening to her. The whole conversations are all about you. And this person was 18 years my best friend. And that was the moment shortly after my 30th birthday where I cut this relationship. That was the first relationship that I really put boundaries. But it took me 18 years to realize that it wasn't healthy, because I was always seeing her struggle and I always wanted to support her. But every time I came with a problem that I was experiencing, the answer that I get was, oh, I wish I had your problems. This is nothing, but my problems are. And I ended up with her problems instead of getting any support or at least understanding for my situation. And I celebrate this relationship. And I celebrate all the others relationships that really pushed me so further in this realization till I couldn't do it anymore. And I said, enough is enough. And I started putting boundaries. And what happened is that those relationships disappeared. And new, more beautiful started appearing in my life. And that is what I wish for you. Don't be afraid to lose people in your life, because the right people will never leave you. Only the one that are not of your highest good and not meant to stay further in your life will just drop, and make space for those relationships that you are genuinely longing for in your heart. I see you. I love you.